Our top stories tonight. The head of the NPA denies reports that the arrest of Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan is imminent. There's no indication of when schools will reopen in Vuyani, Limpopo following weeks of violence. This is ENews Direct. Good evening, I'm Amy McIver.
And I'm Gershon Kutsi. Good evening.
You can comment on any of our stories by following us on Facebook and Twitter at ENews Direct.
You can also track our main stories using the following hashtags Gordhan and IEC.
To our top story now, Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan is not in danger of being arrested, at least not for now. NPA head Shaun Abrahams says reports that Gordhan is about to be arrested in connection with the so-called SARS rogue unit case are totally incorrect. But Abrahams won't confirm or deny whether the minister is a suspect in that investigation.
National Director of Public Prosecutions Shaun Abrahams has avoided the media spotlight. So the fact that he's vocally denying reports that Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan is about to be arrested shows just how seriously he takes these claims.
We find ourselves in a somewhat difficult political climate currently in this country. And it's mischievous of anybody to make such allegations.
Abrahams has confirmed that the NPA received a docket in connection with the so-called SARS rogue unit investigation. Abrahams says prosecutors found the investigation was incomplete, meaning they were unable to make a decision on possible arrests or charges.
Is Pravin Gordhan in any way a suspect in the investigation or the dockets that have been presented to the NPA in concern with this matter?
I cannot comment on that.
Abrahams also won't comment on reports that the NPA has offered plea deals to two SARS officials in exchange for evidence against Gordhan and his former colleagues. He is, however, adamant that the NPA's decision in this case will be driven by the law and not politics.
I will never succumb to populist nor to public influence, nor to any other influence. There's not a person in this world, there's not a person on this earth that could influence me in respect of any decision that has to be made.
Abrahams will also know that if the state elects to charge a man responsible for managing South Africa's increasingly troubled economy, it must have solid evidence against him. Karen Morn, Johannesburg.
The University of Johannesburg has vowed to bring those who damaged campus property to book. That's after a fire destroyed UJ's main auditorium and computer laboratories earlier today. Suspected arsonists have been blamed for the damage, estimated at 100 million rand. No one was injured during the incident, and it's still unclear who carried out the attack. It's still unclear when learning will resume in Vuyani and Limpopo. More than 20 schools were damaged in the area during protests over a municipal demarcation issue. Temporary mobile classrooms had not arrived in the area by this morning, and the Provincial Education Department says teachers don't feel safe returning to schools.
It's a new day in Vuyani, but the story remains the same. The school shutdown has now entered its third week, and both pupils and parents are frustrated. Learning was meant to resume on Monday, but with locked gates and burnt down classrooms, there's no place for that to happen. At some schools, parents and pupils arrived armed with brooms. Amelia Baloy says she's here for the sake of her two children.
It's really hurtful because children are not coming to school. They say they're tired of being at home and are eager to return to school.
No, they don't care about us because they are grown up and are done with school. We still have to further our studies and go to university.
Officials say teachers are not staying away by choice.
We did receive even yesterday that there was a lot of intimidation on the ground. So some people might have feared to actually come back.
The Education Department has done an assessment and says about 230 mobile classrooms will be delivered to schools like this one.
Officials and pupils are hoping that learning will take place on Tuesday. Zikhona Tshona, Mashau village in Vuwani.
Gauteng education officials are adamant they won't fork out a cent to fix a Soweto school that was damaged by protesting pupils. Last week, Orlando High students destroyed several buildings, saying they want their principal removed. But today, they returned to class to clean up their mess.
These pupils have traded their books for brooms. They're cleaning up a mess that they've created. While calling for the removal of their principal, they caused damage worth thousands of rands. They've subsequently agreed to fix what they can and return to the classroom on one condition. Officials say they're looking into the issues at the school.
We have not fired him, we have not suspended him. We said, take leave, let's have a proper investigation. On the basis of that investigation, we'll know how to act.
Who's going to pay for the broken windows?
We are not going to pay. They'll see how to finish. They broke them.
It seems the bill now lies with the school governing body, which says this is the second principle the pupils have rejected.
CSGP kuzofanele senze ama fundraising sibheke nama sponsors angasponsor ukuthi sikwazi ukuthi silungise lokho kufanele sikulungise okumoshekile. Kukhona uprincipal oke wahamba before njengoba sekukhona lo khona manje. Okubonisa ukuthi inkinga ngangaba uprincipal kuphela, inkinga ikhona ngaphakathi esikolweni.
Classes are set to resume on Tuesday. Malungelo Bui, Soweto.
Political parties are calling on the IEC to ensure fair play in the upcoming elections. The 13 parties represented in Parliament signed the Electoral Code of Conduct in Midrand today. The code, contained in the Electoral Act, is aimed at ensuring fairness at the polls.
Political parties have signed on the dotted line, promising to be on their best behavior come the elections. They've agreed the fight for voters will be clean, citizens won't be intimidated, and no-go zones will be eradicated.
And when I look outside,
provocative language has also been banned. So has the removal of posters from rival parties.
The ANC also reaffirms its commitment to political tolerance, peaceful coexistence with other parties, as well as free political activity throughout our country.
13 political parties have committed to playing their part in upholding the Code of Conduct. At the same time, they've appealed to the IEC to play its part in ensuring free and fair elections in August.
The IEC must curb the use of state resources in being able to influence elections adversely.
We expect it to make a positive contribution towards ridding itself and society of the impression that it is tainted and that there is a spirit of corruption that exists.
The IEC says the party's concerns aren't taken lightly.
We have identified areas where we've had challenges in the past, and we are dealing with those areas.
The public can approach the Electoral Court if it believes the code has been violated. Transgressors could be slapped with a fine, disqualification, or prosecution. Leranzo Temba, Midrand.
Well, moving to international news now, Afghanistan's capital is in lockdown today as members of an ethnic minority group protested over the proposed route of a power line. Tens of thousands of Hazara demonstrators took to the streets of Kabul to march towards the presidential palace, which police blocked off with shipping containers. The power line was originally due to pass through Bamiyan province, which has a large Hazara population, but it was decided to reroute as a cost-cutting measure. And in the UK, an urgent inquiry has been ordered after the postponement of a Premier League soccer match because of the discovery of what turned out to be a dummy bomb. Bomb disposal experts were called to Old Trafford, the home of Manchester United, and the 75,000-seater stadium had to be evacuated. It emerged that the device was left behind by a private firm following a training exercise. The local economy will be in sharp focus again this week, with the rates announcement expected on Thursday. With weakening jobs data and a slump in manufacturing and mining figures, this week's announcement could determine the growth path for South Africa.
This week will be dominated by inflation numbers and interest rates. Market analysts are treading nervously ahead of the Monetary Policy Committee meeting. Economists predict lending rates will be left unchanged at 10.5% for prime borrowing. A pause in the rate hike cycle will bring relief for indebted consumers following 2 rate hikes this year. The Reserve Bank raised lending by 75 basis points with the aim of easing inflation. The rand's recent surge will be top of the mind for the Monetary Policy Committee, although the numbers have taken a beating in the last week. The local currency has been the 4th best performing emerging market currency in the past 2 months. Inflation has snapped back to within government's target band reach. Having hit 7% earlier this year, CPI softened to 6.3% in March, with expectations that it will strengthen further in April. The fragile economy may force the MPC to avoid moves that will stunt growth further. The bank already anticipated expansion at near 0% for 2016. Food and vehicle prices are both expected to continue their strong upward momentum. Meanwhile, Stats SA will also release retail sales this week, a number that will no doubt show the weakened state of the local economy. Arabile Kumete, Johannesburg.
Well, let's take a look now at the markets. Now here's Candace with your weather.
It's been a dry start to the work week for the majority of South Africa. On Tuesday, we're expecting cooler conditions over the eastern parts as a ridging high pushes in moisture over the eastern part of the country, as well as the possibility of light rain or drizzle. We're expecting a bit of cloud over the northeastern parts as well as into the Eastern Cape, but with a sunny and warmer day expected as we head further west. In KwaZulu-Natal, you'll see a mild forecast over the interior, but with the possibility of light rain along the coast as well as for the adjacent lying interior, and that includes Pietermaritzburg with a maximum temperature of 23 degrees. We're expecting a bit of cloud throughout the Eastern Cape with a mild day for the majority of the province. You'll see a few of those highs warming up into the middle and even upper 20s in the afternoon, and that's mainly over the western parts. Berg winds warm things up for the Western Cape with a predominantly sunny day, except for some cloud over the southern parts. You'll see highs in the upper 20s over the interior with Cape Town, Langebaan and Robertson just shy of 30 degrees. A toasty Tuesday is in store for Alexander Bay at 33. We head into the mid-20s over the eastern part of the province. Fine and dry for the Free State with quite a chilly start of the day and maximum temperatures peaking in the low and middle 20s in the afternoon. Sunny and warm for the northwest with highs in the mid-20s on Tuesday. We're expecting some cloud for Limpopo, just shy of 30 for Lephalale, Musina and Phalaborwa. Partly cloudy and mild for Polokwane at 23 degrees. We're expecting some cloud over the eastern part of Mpumalanga, Bombela at 27. Sunny and mild over the western part of the province with highs in the low 20s. Mostly sunny and dry for Gauteng on Tuesday with highs mainly in the low 20s. Pretoria, though, expecting a high of 25. A cold front brings in cloudy, cold and wet weather over the southwestern parts on Wednesday, with a few showers still in the forecast for Richards Bay. Dry for the rest of South Africa, but on Thursday that cold front spreads a chance of rain and cooler weather over the southern part of the country, with a chance of drizzle as we head further inland, but still dry over the central and northeastern parts. That's all from the Weather Centre for now. Have a lovely night.
Well, coming up after the break, as the who's who of the movie industry gathers in Cannes, an iconic actress duo are reunited 25 years after making the original feminist road trip movie. Well, the who's who of the movie industry are gathered in Cannes for the 69th edition of the annual film festival. And the weekend saw the stars of 1991 hit Thelma and Louise reunited.
A special event supporting women in the film industry drew A-list actresses like Frida Pinto and Isabel Herper, along with actors and jury members Kirsten Dunst and Mads Mikkelsen. But it was the stars of the original feminist road trip movie that had the cameras clicking. Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis were celebrating 25 years since the release of Thelma and Louise. They said they had no idea what the reaction would have been when they were filming it.
We didn't understand how threatening it would be. I don't know if you remember what a backlash there was. Now it's a feminist film.
In the press, we were also unprepared for some of the negative outrage that happened. You know, oh, the world is ruined, now women have guns, this is a terrible thing. So it was very interesting. It's really something special to be in a film that strikes a nerve like that.
But both stars agreed that despite the furor created by what's now seen as an iconic feminist movie, really during filming they were just having a good time.
A recap of your top stories now before we say goodnight. The head of the NPA denies reports that the arrest of Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan is imminent in connection with the so-called SARS rogue unit case. There's no indication of when classes will resume in Vuani, Limpopo following weeks of violence which left 20 schools damaged. Temporary mobile classrooms had not arrived in the area by this morning. Well, that's a wrap from the E-News Direct team.
Up next is Rhythm City.
To share your views, you can send an email to enewsdirect@etv.co.za.
Or chat us on Twitter and Facebook at eNewsDirect.
Join us again at 6:30 tomorrow. For now, though, it's a very good night.